Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do I have a show for you today. Today, I am covering Daniel chapters 1 through 3 with Jim Majors. Dr. Jim Majors is here.
Hey, guys.
He's a doctor now. He got his PhD yesterday. Good for him. He worked very hard on that, and now he's here talking to me about this.
Day before yesterday, but yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm still very proud of you, Jim.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
And what did you write your dissertation on? Tell the people.
Let's see. How do I put this in a way that's not just going to sound like a word salad? Because that's essentially what my title looks like.
True.
Basically explaining the my theorized methodology of the 2nd century redactor and editor of the Book of Daniel, his purpose and reasoning behind the selection of the text, mainly the court narratives in chapters 1 through 6, and his application of them with the parts of Daniel that were written during the Hellenistic period and the Maccabean era.
So it is quite a lot. I mean, I don't know if you're ever gonna have that like publicly available or anything. I don't know how that all works.
I'm going to be publishing it in small chunks.
Okay, sounds good. And as I'm sure you have noticed, Ruben is not here. He is out for the day. He's been sick. He's come down with something. Don't know what it is.
We know it's not COVID.
It's not the big C. It's not that. So Jim and I are going to absolutely destroy this. Oh, look at that. Ruben is here. He's in the chat, actually. Unless he means he's here, in which case...
the door isn't locked, buddy.
Awkward.
All right. So for the Book of Daniel, I mean, I don't think I have anything to introduce other than, new book time. It's fantastic. This is the last, I would say, longer book of the Old Testament. Then we have all the small ones, all the small prophets, right? Really short books. So let's start talking about this. Where do you think? Because usually we talk about the date and the authorship,
Okay.
and how we know those things. So is there something specific you would think would be a good idea to discuss first to understand the Book of Daniel?
Yeah, I think a good place to start would be the purpose of the Book of Daniel. The Book of Daniel was compiled during a time of oppression where they were living under a foreign ruler, a foreign and a strange ruler as far as the religious customs are concerned and culture in general. They're living under a highly Hellenized ruler, Antiochus IV, in the 2nd century BCE in Jerusalem. And it's much like the situation that they were in during Babylonian exile in the 6th century BCE, under Nebuchadnezzar down through Nabonidus, which point, Cyrus the Great took over. Their period under Persian exile wasn't nearly as bad. They had a lot more freedoms, especially as far as their religious customs were concerned. So the Book of Daniel was written to appear as if it was written by a 6th century Jew living during the exile of Babylon, but it was written in a way that their current situation in the 2nd century BCE could easily be read into it, and they could easily receive encouragement and hope that even though they were being forced to do things that they didn't want to do, that as long as they remained steady and I dare say even pious to a certain extent, that God would come through for them in the end, that he would restore them, restore the temple, restore Jerusalem, or restore Judea in general. So it was, yeah, it's just essentially it's apocalyptic literature. It's written to be able to give hope in multiple situations and to be ambiguous enough that it can apply from everything from the Babylonian exile to Revelation to oppression under the Roman rule.
Yeah, and it's important to remember how we're defining apocalypse or apocalyptic literature, because there has been a really long ongoing debate about exactly how to define it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we think of it in the modern world, we tend to think of an apocalypse as like this end of the world kind of thing, fire and brimstone, everything is being destroyed. And that would be
Right.
a really cool picture, right? Like that, I like that, but that's unfortunately not quite accurate of a definition for apocalyptic literature, because the Greek word apokalypsis does just mean revelation or unveiling. Something is being
Exactly.
revealed. So, and it seems for the things that we would call apocalypse, that they're usually in coded language, like metaphorical usually,
Mhm.
but they're revealing something like really big. And it is often eschatological, but certainly not all the time.
Correct.
So there's a whole section on this in J.J. Collins' work, The Apocalyptic Imagination. There's like a whole section where he talks about, well, here's a bunch of different definitions, and none of them exactly agree with each other. But
He also has a 1983 publication on Daniel with an intro to apocalyptic literature that's really good in the context of Daniel.
that would be accurate. And you know what? I actually forgot. This is something I actually did forget. The versions that we are using today.
Oh.
Yeah. So, because we do have another commentary here that I've had sitting for a while that I was going to use for like a whole Son of Man thing. But you know what? I didn't get to that, so we have it here now. So the version I will be reading from is, of course, the English Standard Version of the Bible. Jim, what version of the Bible will you be reading from today?
Oh, I didn't even think about it. So should I go crazy and just like read the Theodosianic version, one of the old Greek versions?
I mean, you could. We have an old Greek version, actually.
Let's see, I've got the. Yeah, okay, I'll do the Theodosian version.
Just do an English one, man.
The Theodosian, it's one of the two extant versions of the Greek Book of Daniel, as opposed to the Masoretic text. You have the Old Greek and the Theodosianic versions, which they differ between themselves quite a bit, even.
Okay, well, I mean, if it's a Greek one, does it include the apocryphal stuff?
Yes, it does actually.
Okay, well, we're not.
Susanna, Bell, and the Dragon, and they place it in different areas between the two.
Okay. So yeah, the Susanna, Bell, and the Dragon, that kind of stuff. We're actually gonna be covering that on our Friday show. So any version you have that includes those things, do not use them for the show.
Okay.
All right. But
Fine.
as long as what you're reading is English, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Well, I'll read from the NASB 1995 version.
Okay, great.
Got you.
Let's see what else we got here. We also have Erdman's commentary on the Bible. I got Robert Alter's translation with commentary on the Hebrew. Oh wait, what the hell is that? Hold on.
I don't know what that is. I
I got my dissertation.
Here, how about you? Okay, so talk about the date a little bit. What are like some of the hints?
I can't even shift to him.
Sorry, talk about the what?
I'll figure it out. Can you talk about some of the dates? Perhaps like how are we able to date this book? Like what are the hints in the text that that help us with that.
Right. So Daniel is very vague and often has historical inaccuracies when it comes to. Is that me?
No, sorry. That was
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought I was like playing something.
No, hold on. We're running into a technical difficulty here.
Well, I should simply state that I don't know why you're in a group call. You need to not be in a group call. No, I know that you can have 2 participants and still not have it as a group call. We did this last week.
Yeah.
So it's considered a meeting, and it's giving Jim a time above his head that's just floating there now. It's
no worries.
Oh, it's just gonna kick you in 9 minutes. That's all. No worries.
Oh,
That's the weirdest thing.
Yes.
huh.
All right. So
Okay.
I mean,
So we know the latest that the Book of Daniel is accurate. You know, the Book of Daniel purports to be written in the 6th century.
Yeah.
And it prophesies these events happening all the way up until the 2nd century, until Antiochus. And the closer they get to the 2nd century, the more accurate and the more detailed these prophecies or these visions become. And the closer that you get towards the events that the supposed that the author of the Book of Daniel is alleged to have written in the 6th century during the siege of Jerusalem by Babylon, all the way up until the conquest of Babylon by Cyrus the Great. He gets so many things wrong as historical inaccuracies from the very first verse, from Daniel 1:1. So we can look at these prophecies, and at a certain point in the middle of the 11th chapter, it suddenly becomes completely inaccurate. It talks about the place where Antiochus IV is supposed to die. That of course that Jerusalem's going to be restored. Blah blah blah. That says that he's going to conquer Ethiopia. That doesn't happen. But up until that point, it's extremely accurate. It talks about the desolation of the temple and the abomination of desolation, that sort of thing. The removal of the Jewish customs and the forced Hellenizations, the deaths of the anointed ones, Onias III.
yeah, and of course,
the entire Hellenistic period and Persian period, Achaemenid, all that.
yeah, and this is going to cover pretty much the same period as Maccabees. So,
yeah.
Also, Tomek, thank you. How many books of the Bible do you think Muhammad known about? You know what? I think he probably knew about almost, if not all of them. Almost all, if not all.
What was the question?
How many books of the Bible Muhammad knew about? And I would say that's he may have not known about Revelation. That is possible that he didn't know about it because Revelation wasn't like it took a while to become canon. I guess would be the best way to put that.
You're still talking like 7th century though. You're still talking hundreds of years later.
If we're talking about Muhammad.
Oh, Muhammad. Okay. I thought you were just talking about like Islam.
No, just Muhammad. So okay. There's a chance he wouldn't have known about Revelation, but there's also a good chance he would have known about it.
Right.
So we also, just to continue on introducing these versions here, we have Robert Alter's translation with commentary of the Hebrew Bible. We have the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews and the New King James Version of the Bible. We also have the King James over there, but who needs it? And, of course, one of the more important things, J.J. Collins' commentary on the Book of Daniel from the Hermenia series. This is just one of the best commentaries on Daniel you could get. And J.J. Collins is, I would call him a leading scholar on apocalypticism.
He is the scholar when it comes to the Book of Daniel, as far as I'm concerned. and apocalyptic literature.
I didn't know that Zoom was like that. I had no idea. And that's very annoying. We're going to have to do something else for the next time we have a guest, because I did not know that the only way to have an actual meeting like that is when someone in the meeting has like the premium thing, and that costs like $150. Like, that's ridiculous.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is why
Thing?
that's why it kicked you.
Yep.
It kicked us too, obviously.
It kicked everything. And the worst thing is now we're going back to the old way of plugging computers in, and so we can barely hear you at all without having complete audio interference.
You heard him, guys. Help them help you. Look at them super chats going.
Well, we did get $20.
We did get 20, so thank you for that.
And we do appreciate everything.
Yeah.
I can't believe I was supposed to stall for that long.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at stalling, guys.
I figured, what is it, like $10, $10 or something? Like, no, it's more than that.
Is that a month?
No, that was, I think it was annual, but still, like,
well,
I wasn't
either
dropping
way,
that much right
why
away.
is it require annual? And Jim, what happened to your visual?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to boost. I'm trying to boost my audio. Maybe this will work better.
You know, it's as good as it's gonna get, and believe it or not, we can hear you fine. There you go.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just that there's gonna be this squeak in the background for everyone else except you.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were trying Zoom because it worked last time. Yeah. So
if I mute, does it go away?
no, it's not. It's not
It
an
has
issue on your phone.
literally nothing to do with you.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why we were using two computers.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's our setup that we have an issue with.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
I mean,
alright.
it is what it is. This episode already has been such a fucking shit show. It's been 34 minutes. We haven't even started the fucking reading.
Gee.
What
Well,
a-
Jim said what, 3 hours he wanted?
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so we can get started with the reading. I will be reading, of course. Feel free to add in any commentary anywhere you want. And I will have some commentaries open as well. We did cover the date. We covered the setting for these things. So I will have some commentaries open as well. If you have anything to add at any point, you feel something is important, just feel free to interrupt me.
I don't know if you heard or not, but or if it caught it, but I pretty much went over 1-1 as well, just to knock that out of the way.
Yeah, I did catch that. I did. All right, so let's
Might as
hop
well
into
knock out 1-2 as well. When I referenced Chronicles and Ezra, that's those are the sources, more than likely one or both for Daniel 1-2. They use the same words verbatim.
Oh, okay. That is good to know. I think it's noted in here as well, actually. All right. So we do have an introduction, as Ruben brilliantly is commenting in the chat, that we do have an introduction from the ESV. So let's talk about that. So, introduction to Daniel. Exiled to Babylon in 605 BC, Daniel was one of several young men chosen to serve in Nebuchadnezzar's court. When Persia conquered Babylon in 539, Daniel was again given a position of power. He remained faithful to God in both of these hostile environments. From the interpretation
And
of...
who was he giving it by? Darius the Mede?
What?
And he was giving it by Darius the Mede? And what exile in 605? There was no siege of Jerusalem in 605.
Yes, another one of these dates, there's...
But that's what Daniel dates it to.
Yeah,
It's to
I guess.
the first year, what they assume is the first year of King Nebuchadnezzar and the third year of Jehoiakim.
Yeah, because that is the very first line. Yeah, anyways, let's see, where was I? From the interpretation of dreams to the familiar stories of the fiery furnace, the lion's den, and the handwriting on the wall, to the prophetic visions, the recurrent theme is God's sovereignty over human affairs. In the historical sections, chapters 1 through 6, God supernaturally rescued Daniel and his friends. The rest of the book consists of visions of future judgment and deliverance by the Messiah. Some of Daniel's prophetic themes are echoed in the New Testament, especially in Revelation. Well, first of all, those themes are echoed throughout the New Testament. They're not even like particularly concentrated to Revelations. They're just everywhere. Like John, for example, the Gospel of John, also incredibly influenced by it. And I mean,
It's a nature of apocalyptic literature.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the introduction there from the ESV, and I suppose we can get started on the readings. All right, good old half an hour into it. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with some of the vessels of the house of God. And he brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, and placed the vessels in the treasury of his God. So apparently the land of Shinar is an old name for Babylonia.
Correct.
Then the king commanded Ashpenaz, his chief eunuch, to bring some of the people of Israel, both of the royal family and of the nobility, youths without blemish, of good appearance, and skillful in all wisdom, endowed with knowledge, understanding, learning, and competent to stand in the king's palace, and to teach them the literature and language of the Chaldeans. The king assigned them a daily portion of food that the king ate, and of the wine that he drank. They were to be educated for 3 years, and at the end of that time, they were to stand before the king. Among these were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah of the tribe of Judah. And the chief of the eunuchs gave them names. Daniel he called Belteshazzar. Hananiah he called Shadrach. Mishael he called Meshach. And
Meshach, yeah.
And Azariah he called Abednego. Yeah, I feel like that pop up somewhere, that name. Was that in like Kings or something? Or am I confusing that with something else?
I know that that they are referenced in the Syllabines.
On the Sibylline Oracles?
No, Daniel and his friends.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Oh no, I was specifically talking about the last name there. It just seemed familiar to me, so I wasn't sure if that popped up somewhere else or not.
Trying to think. I mean, out of the context of like the group, I don't think it's. I'm not sure that he's referred to individually.
Okay, well then I'm probably just confusing it with something else.
I could be wrong. I'm just not. Must be drawing a blank.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably just thinking of something else, anyways. All right, continuing on here. But Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. Therefore, he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself. And God gave Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief of the eunuchs. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who assigned your food and your drink. For why should he see that you are in worse condition than the youths who are your own age? So you would endanger my head with the king. Then Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had assigned over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's food be observed by you, and deal with your servants according to what you see. So they're raising these guys, right? And there's this guy that the king set over them. And I mean, I guess I'm kind of lost on why. I mean, is Daniel just asking for more food? Is that what's going on? I'm a little confused. You're a little lost.
So Daniel is not wanting to stop living like a Jew. He doesn't want to eat the Babylonian food, which, I mean, the text may be implying that it was food that was sacrificed on an altar, or that it was basically it wasn't proper for a Jew to be eating this sort of food. It was the Babylonian royalty's food, so it was prepared as it would be for a Babylonian king. So he instead asked for what the animals would eat, asked for vegetables, and but he has hope and faith in God that God would sustain him regardless.
That makes sense.
But basically, they're trying to walk a line. So Daniel wants to show his readers that you can rebel against authority, that you can stand up to your oppressor, but there's a line that you can't cross, or else you'll surely die. Which Daniel later goes to show isn't an issue. So you can be bold in your faith up until the point of death, because of the rescue from the furnace, the lion's den, and so forth.
So that definitely does help a lot. That's similar to a lot of the other texts that were written not too far apart from this. So like if we consider perhaps I mean, I think Esther was written before this, right? But it was still kind of in that same vein, I guess.
Yeah, still Hellenistic. I mean, it's still a late text. Same thing with Chronicles.
Yeah. All right, let's continue on here. So as for, no, I think I must have missed a sentence. Yeah, I think I ate a sentence. No, I missed a sentence. So he listened to them in his matter and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, it was seen that they were better in appearance and fatter in flesh than all the youths who ate the king's food. So the steward took away their food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables. As for these 4 youths, God gave them learning and skill in all literature and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. At the end of the time when the king had commanded that they should be brought in, the chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar, and the king spoke with them. And among all of them, none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore, they stood before the king, and in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters that were in all his kingdom. And Daniel was there until the first year of King Cyrus. So he would have been there for quite a while, most of a lifetime, I would say.
Yeah,
and
I mean, until Cyrus, which it says the first year, but if you go to chapter 10, verse 1, it actually he mentions the 3rd year of Cyrus.
Oh, well then, that just makes perfect sense there. Now, does some of that stuff have to do with versions, like different language versions, or is that even a thing that's across all of them?
It does the what?
Like, so for, how scribes sometimes they try to change a part of a text to make it fit with something else that they've read. So is is this an issue in different versions? So if you compare like the Masoretic
Yes.
to the Septuagint text, does one try to account, or does one try to account for the other mistake, or is that just across all versions?
Yes. Actually, yeah, that's absolutely correct. And some try to interpolate their own parts. For example, both of the old Greek versions, both the old Greek and the Theodosianic version, they both use additional apocryphal additions to the Book of Daniel. You know, like the prayer of Azariah, Susanna, Bel and the Dragon, but they place them in different areas. But even in just what's considered canonical, there are many differences just in between the three major versions: the Old Greek, the Theodosianic, and the Masoretic text. That some are pretty stark.
Yeah.
That do seem to be some of them that a scribe is possibly trying to correct another scribe, but by just taking small measures and not completely changing a word or something like that, but maybe just changing a letter or two.
Yeah, that happens all the time. And in fact, we do, in case it comes up, we do have the Septuagint right here, Greek Septuagint. It does have the English as well, but we do have it, thanks to Landon. So that's of course, big thank you to Landon on that one again. So if it does come up, we also have a Greek version of our own.
Well, I decided I am going to read from the Old Greek, or the Theodosianic. I'll go Theodosianic.
Okay, so are you going to read it in the ancient language or the English translation of that?
In the English translation.
Okay, that's important because I mean I could just pull out and read the Greek version too, but we'd lose some viewers.
My Hebrew is much better than my Greek, so I don't think it'd be pleasant to anybody's ears.
Fair enough.
And not that I would understand it anyways, but
all right,
so am I reading chapter 2?
Yeah, you're reading chapter 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So chapter 2, I'm gonna obviously flip to some commentary on this stuff. You can get started. I'll backtrack if I have to, and remember that you can just say, like, if you have some commentary that you want to add in on a verse, no matter how minuscule you think it might be, just add it.
Okay. I'm going to warn you that the differences in the text are going to be quite stark. So if you're following along, you might interject.
All right, that should be fine. I'm gonna be pulling up the commentary anyways.
In the second year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed a dream, and his spirit was startled, and his sleep left him. And the king said to summon the enchanters and the magicians and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. And they came and stood before the king. And the king said to them, I dreamed, and my spirit was startled so as to know the dream.
Oh yeah, and apparently the old Greek translation, as represented by Papyrus 967, reads 12th instead of 2nd in that first verse there.
Yes, it does. In the 12th year of Nebuchadnezzar's reign.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can continue. Yeah.
And and the Chaldeans spoke to the king in Syrian. O king, live forever. You say the dream to your servants, and we will tell the interpretation. The king answered the Chaldeans, the matter has escaped me. Unless you make known to me the dream and the interpretation, you will be destroyed. Okay, so let me just point out real quick that so Daniel's not here, right? Neither are his friends. Yet he summoned everybody in the kingdom, even though he just got finished saying that they were the best he's ever seen, the best that he has in his court.
Right.
But he didn't summon his best.
Yeah, in fact, it's even noted in here that the only way that it can even make sense of the date discrepancy, the issue with the date in the first verse there would be like it probably wasn't even originally composed for the piece. Like it probably wasn't originally composed to be there.
Yeah.
But you can continue on your commentary.
Okay. Let's see.
And now he's like really mad,
Okay.
and of course this is like an escalation of the Joseph thing where he's interpreting the dreams.
Exactly. And same thing. He's a foreigner in a strange land, a resident alien. But he's also being put in a position of some would say nobility. With we'll later find both have a chance to move up in the world, even though they're Jews in a strange land. Let's see. Oh, the matter has escaped me. Unless you make known to me the dream and the interpretation, you will be destroyed and your houses will be plundered. But if you make known to me the dream and the interpretation, gifts and rewards and great honor you will receive from me. Only tell me the dream and its interpretation. They answered a second time and said, let the king state the dream to his servants, and we can tell its interpretation. And the king answered and said, I know with certainty that you're trying to buy time, because you see that the matter has escaped me. Therefore, if you do not tell me the dream, I know that you have conspired to speak a lie and corrupt word, and corrupt word before me until the time passes. State to me my dream, and I shall know that you can tell me the interpretation. The Chaldeans answered before the king and kept saying, there's no person on dry land who can make known the matter of the king, as no great king or magistrate has requested such a thing of an enchanter, magician, Chaldean, because the thing that the king is requesting is difficult, and there's no other who can tell it before the king but God's, whose dwelling is not with any flesh. Then the king in anger and great rage said to destroy all the sages of Babylon. Drama queen.
Yeah, I would say.
And the decree went out, and the sages were being executed, and they sought to slay Daniel and his friends, but they weren't even invited, and then they're like, hey, we're going to kill you too. We didn't get our chance. Man.
That's just rude.
Daniel answered counsel and reasoned to Arioch, the king's chief cook, who had gone out to slay the sages of Babylon. Why is the cook slaying sages? Like, why is that the cook's job?
Let me see. Let me see if there's there is commentary on this verse, obviously. So, Arioch, the name, okay, so the name is already found in Genesis, 14. Okay, yeah, he's one of the kings in that list of kings. That's just the name I'm talking about, by the way, not the same person.
Right.
And it's also in Judith. Yeah, so this is this guy is the cook, it says in that version?
Yes, it's the king's personal cook, essentially, or the chief cook, the head of his kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Then did Daniel respond with counsel and insight to Arioch, chief of the king's executioners, who had gone out.
Both the Old Greek and the Theodosianic say chief cook. It's the Masoretic text that says the executioner.
Well, I mean, which one would make more sense, I guess? Like, would someone write that the cook is off killing people or that the executioner is off killing people?
Right. I think it makes sense for like your best butcher to, get the job done.
Right. I was going to say, like, it's the same guy. It could be the same guy. You've got your doctor barbers and your executioner cooks. Your favorite job.
Yeah, actually, that's
he's a single dad. He's pulling double shifts.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently, here's why. It's because the root is just to slaughter. So hence the Greek translates. Well, they use chief butcher. By the Neo-Babylonian period, however, the title had lost its etymological meaning and had become the court title of an official. The title occurs in the Hebrew Bible in 2 Kings 25:8, Jeremiah 39:9, 50 and 52:12. We are told that Nebuzaradan, who carried out the burning of Jerusalem, was I'm guessing that's a Hebrew word that means someone who slaughters.
Well, he was the general, one of the generals of Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a Hebrew word here, and I can't read it or understand it, but considering the context, I'm going to go with this means someone who does some slaughtering. Kills in some way. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
burns a lot of shit.
Yeah. Josephus takes the term in Daniel as chief of the king's bodyguards.
Who gives a shit what Josephus says?
Yeah, right. In view of Aryak's assignment on this occasion, however, the word would seem to be used in its etymological sense. So there is some context to that. Okay.
Right. But we don't have the full context, so it's hard to get the true etymological, meaning.
I would agree. Yeah.
Magistrate of the king, why has the shameless opinion gone out from before the king? So Arioch made the matter known to Daniel, and Daniel petitioned the king so that he might give him time, and he would tell the king the interpretation.
Man.
Why does he have to petition the king? Like, you wouldn't think Arioch would be like, yeah, come with me. Yeah, we're about to save all these people.
This king has some serious anger issues.
Yeah.
More than other kings.
For some reason, like, whenever Jews get around foreign people, like, they just go crazy.
What?
I didn't mean that to come off.
Quick! Someone take it out of context.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how about ancient Jewish tribes?
It's like Donald Trump loves them. What are you talking
had
about?
policies that did that. Yeah. See, wow, that's more disconnected.
And Daniel went into his house and made known the matter to Hananias and to Mishael and to Azarias, his friends. And they began seeking mercy before the God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that Daniel and his friends might not perish with the rest of the sages of Babylon. Then the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision of the night. And Daniel blessed the God of heaven and said, "May the name of God be blessed from age to age, because wisdom and power are his. And he changes seasons and times. He sets up kings and deposes, giving wisdom to the sages and intelligence to those who know understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things, knowing what is in the darkness, and the light is with him. You, O God of my ancestors, I acknowledge and praise, because you have given me wisdom and power, and you have made known to me what we petitioned from you. And you have made known to me the matter of the king." So apparently,
I mean, here's where we're getting into the revelatory stuff.
Right. Well, this is saying that something has been made known, but it hasn't been revealed yet, at least not to us.
Yeah.
But at the end of the prayer, it's kind of like a thank you, got it, message received. And Daniel went to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to destroy the sages of Babylon, and said to him, "Do not destroy the wise men of Babylon, but bring me in before the king, and I will tell the king the interpretation." Wait, haven't we done this already?
You'd think,
strange.
yeah. I think that's what we just went over.
Yeah, indeed, there are two instances where Daniel has to request a presence with the king with no explanation for what's going on in between. Then Arioch quickly brought Daniel in before the king and said to him, "I have found a man among the sons of the captives." What? Wait. What do you mean you found a man? This is the best of his court. I know Daniel.
Hey, I found a guy. Aren't you supposed to be like confident, dude? No.
Among the sons of the captives from Judea who can tell the king the meaning. And by this time, they've gotten all but just the poorest, worst people in Jerusalem. Like, there was nothing left but just poor people.
Guys, I found a guy with a great voice.
Right. Not a member of the court, not a member of nobility or anything like that. Just one of these slaves, one of these captives.
It is certainly a weird way to introduce somebody. It would be like if I was like, hey guys, I found this guy with the great voice. We should put him on TV or something. His name is Morgan Freeman. Write that down, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, like,
And,
huh?
Everyone's like, yeah, it's fucking Morgan Freeman.
You need this written down. You didn't know?
Well, that was the day Andy left. And the king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Balthazar, are you able to tell me the dream that I have seen and its interpretation? And Daniel answered before the king and said, the mystery that the king asks, it is not of sages, magicians, enchanters, Gazarenes to tell to the king, but rather there is a God in heaven revealing mysteries, and he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what must happen at the end of days.
Yeah, so before we
Your
get to
dream and-
sorry,
Sorry?
before we get to the before we get into like end of days stuff, which I'm very excited for, by the way. So when you noted how weird it was of an introduction to Daniel to the king would have been right there, like, I just found this random dude. So yeah, this verse reflects the original story where Daniel was unknown to the king. Compare 4Q, and I don't know which exact text this is. Maybe like I don't even know.
4Q Dan C.
No. So it says, I'm guessing it's maybe like Proverbs of Nabonius or something. I'm not 100% sure. It says
The prayer of Nabonidus.
Prayer of Nabonidus. Thank you. Yeah, so you can compare 4Q, Prayer of Nabonidus 4, where Nabonidus is approached by, quote, a diviner who was a Jew of the exiles.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's continue on to end of days.
End of days. Okay. Let's see. Oh, but rather there's a God now has made known king, blah, 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 blah. Okay. O king, your thoughts upon your bed ascended. Is that right?
That would be the next verse you're on,
Sorry,
I think.
your dream and the visions of your head upon your bed is this. O king, your thoughts upon your bed ascended to what must happen before this. And he that reveals mysteries has made known to me, or has made known to you what must happen. So Daniel's claiming that that he that reveals mysteries, Yahweh, has revealed this mystery to Nebuchadnezzar. So it's a claim by Daniel that Nebuchadnezzar had a revelation from God.
That'd be pretty big, actually.
Yeah.
Because that usually doesn't happen. There's the time where God gave people like fake visions.
And told them to sacrifice their children.
Classic stuff. So yeah, for the other verse, for verse 29, it probably this is what happened to scribes in the ancient world too, where they would like read something, but it was so similar to something else in the verse that they would like skip a whole line. So, but because verse 29 starts out so similarly to verse 28, like that's why you went to verse 29, and that happened in scribal traditions as well.
Yeah. Happens when scribes get tired, when they've been poring over papyri for hours, days.
Yeah, right. So this verse has been argued to be secondary. So Kratz argues that Kratz argues that verse 28 is secondary on the grounds that the eschatological implications of I don't know what phrase that is, but it does not fit the perspective of the original tale. It is not in the citation there, but I'm guessing
it's possible. My personal opinion is that it is further evidence of there being multiple traditions of the same stories, like such as Daniel being or seeking the audience of the king in order to tell him the interpretation of the dream, or him not being known when he was known before. I think this is just another splice that they have to keep that eschatological, or they don't have to, but the the compiler saw it beneficial for his purposes to leave that in.
Yeah, I would definitely see like a splicing together of traditions. But yeah, we can continue whenever.
Let's see.
I think you just finished verse 30. I think.
Yeah, okay, 31. You were looking, O king, and lo, there was one image. Does it say behold in yours?
Oh, it's hold on. Let's hope. I have like a bunch of different versions. It does say behold. Behold!
Behold!
Behold.
Sorry, we haven't done it the whole time, and I wanted to do one.
Yeah.
There was one image. That great image in its appearance was extraordinary. It was standing before you, and the sight of it was frightening. Well, he already told everybody that he had a bad dream that it scared him. Like, so is he telling me anything new? As for the image, whose head was of good gold, its hands and chest and arms silver, the belly and the thighs bronze, the shanks iron, the feet partly of iron and partly of earthenware. You kept looking until a stone was severed from a mountain, not by human hands, and it struck the image on the iron and the earthenware feet, and completely pulverized. Then the earthenware, the iron, the bronze, the silver, the gold were ground all at once. It became as dust from a summer threshing floor.
Hold on.
Greatness...
I want to point this out here. Okay, so I was like, why does this sound so familiar to me? Why does this exact description sound so weird? Like, I've heard it before. And the reason was because this, like, where you have a statue made of like different kinds of metals, but they're all declining in value. I was like, where is that? Like, I remember this coming up somewhere.
Yes.
And there is
it's in Greek literature.
Yeah, there are
Herodotus.
Yeah, there are ancient parallels for the representation of history by a sequence of metals of declining value. That's how they had, the ages of mankind and stuff like that.
Yes.
Although not in the form of a statue. The most famous of these is found in Hesiod's Works and Days. I had to read that for my class, which is why I remembered it. I was like, where did I hear this before? Hesiod describes a sequence of 5 ages: golden, silver, bronze, and a fourth that is not identified with a metal and iron. The fourth age breaks the pattern of decline and is inserted to accommodate the heroes of Greek legend. Hesiod was evidently adapting a schema of 4 ages and metals that were already current by the 8th century. The origin and transmission of the schema are unknown. But yeah, like I knew I recognized. I was like, where did I hear all this like different kind of metal stuff together? I heard it before.
But Daniel changes it up a bit, right? So whereas the one that he most likely borrowed it from started their 4 kingdom schema with Assyria. He started his with Babylon, the Babylonian Empire, Neo-Babylonian Empire, followed by the Median Empire, for reasons that we'll get into later. Then the Persian Empire, the belly and the thighs, and then the Greek Macedonian Empire is the iron legs. And then you have this separation. You have the after Alexander the Great dies, you have his generals, who essentially becomes the Seleucids and up to Antiochus IV. So that whole Seleucid line, from the successor of Alexander the Great, the 11th horn that arises out of the 10 horns, or whatever. But this 4 kingdom schema, when they use the metals, if you notice, it goes from the purest, most valuable, to the least worthy and just the dirtiest. But at the same time, you notice that it's also they're becoming stronger. Your silver is stronger than gold. Bronze is stronger than silver. Iron's stronger than bronze. Iron and clay, it's a weakness. That's what causes the entire statue to crumble.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we can continue.
And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain. It came from a mountain, and then it became a mountain. Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's
so
how mountains are made.
the motif so the motif of the mountain here is distinctly Jewish. Compare Isaiah 2:2 and Micah 4:1. It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established as the highest of the mountains and shall rise above the hills.
Yeah, basically Zion.
Yeah.
You know, it's the Jewish people. It's their culture. You know, God's kingdom is that mountain. And the Christians would claim that Jesus is the stone.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I don't get how you can make a mountain from a stone that came from a mountain. It's like these guys are like choosing Pokemon, you know, but mountains are coming out.
Hey, you know what? Don't shit talk my Pokemon.
I mean,
yeah,
no,
that's right.
I would never. I'm a nerd myself.
Good.
Yeah.
Hello, fellow nerds.
Yeah. Let's see. This is the dream, and we tell before the king its interpretation. Okay. You, O king, are king of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given a powerful and mighty and honorable kingdom. So he's a king of kings, but he praises him, but at the same time he shows some defiance in saying that, you know, it's because of my God that you are the king of kings. And mighty and honorable kingdom. In every place where the sons of men live, there's not a place where a bunch of Jesuses live, if you were wondering. And both animals of the field and birds of the air, he has given into your hand, and he has established you as Lord of all. You are the gold head. So we've identified the gold head. That's the Neo-Babylonian Empire, Nebuchadnezzar. And behind you will arise another kingdom inferior to yours, and a third kingdom that is the bronze, which will rule over the whole earth. And there will be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, and iron pulverizes and overpowers everything, so it will pulverize and overpower everything. And you saw that the feet and toes were partly of earthenware and partly of iron. It will be a divided kingdom, which was what we saw after Alexander the Great died.
Yeah,
and
that was
iron will be in it.
Yeah, the
As you
Diadochi.
saw the sorry.
I was just talking about the splitting of Alexander's empire after he died.
Oh yeah.
You can go ahead and continue. I just said Diadochi and moved on.
As you saw the iron mixed with the earthenware, and the toes of the feet, partly of iron, but partly of earthenware, part of the kingdom will be strong, and some of it will be broken. For you saw the iron mixed with the earthenware. There will be commingling among the seeds of humanity, and they will not hold together. This one with that one, just as iron does not mix with earthenware.
Yeah. So apparently, this phrase, so they shall be mixed with. Sorry, you're in verse 43, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. So apparently the phrase, they shall be mixed with human seed. That's the translation Alter takes. This clause is enigmatic. Some understand it to mean they shall be mixed in marriage, referring to matrimonial alliance between the Seleucids and the Ptolemies. But Zera, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, plainly means seed, not marriage.
Correct. What it's most likely referring to is offspring in this case, like the provenance of what comes after them. But this mixing, you know, is the same kind of thing that we see going on in Second Temple Judaism. Whenever they're being Hellenized, you actually have, you know, before you have the Maccabean revolt, you know, before Antiochus even went to war with the Jews were at war with the Jews. There was internal struggle between, you know, people who wanted to appoint high priests that would allow more Hellenistic culture And you had the pious Jews, like the Maccabees, for example, who were pious and they wanted to hold to traditional Jewish laws, especially since they were back in Jerusalem.
Yeah, actually, just to kind of bounce off of what you just said there, this is from Collins here. So, quite different explanation of the symbolism is offered here. Most commentators see here a reference to one or the other of the interdynastic marriages of the Ptolemies and Seleucids, the first being that of Antiochus II to Berenice in 252 BCE, the second that of Ptolemy Epiphanes to Cleopatra, daughter of Antiochus III, in 139 BCE. These marriages are mentioned in Daniel 11:6 and 17. Scholars who hold, and this is my favorite part, scholars who hold the identification of the fourth kingdom with Rome have a problem here, which is resolved by arguing that the reference is to the intermingling of diverse races. This interpretation is found in Rashi, Ibn Ezra, and Pseudo-Sadia.
Right. And so in 11, 5 and 6, you have Ptolemy the First, who's what they refer to as the king of the South. Anytime you see the king of the South, the king of the North, that's in juxtaposition to Jerusalem, because we all know that that's the center of the world. So the king of the South is Ptolemy the First, and you have Seleucus the First, who's ruling in Syria. The daughter of the king of the South is Berenice, who her dad was Ptolemy the Second. She's married to Antiochus II, who is a Seleucid king at this point in the third century. But the offspring, the seed that she and Antiochus have, are killed. And Berenice, it talks about the branch from her roots. The branch from your roots is your brother. They attack the fortress of the king of the north, or the Seleucid kingdom, and defeat them.
It just popped into my head. It's off topic, but I forget who it was with, but Cleopatra had a kid with like the king of Greece or something. And
which Cleopatra?
No, like the last one, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like that kid, like that. I think they killed that kid because because that kid would have had all the fucking power in the world. He would have ruled the fucking planet at that point.
Well, and Antiochus IV killed his brother. I mean, to get the throne. And you have the brothers who battle each other for high priest and try to outbid each other.
That sounds like a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jim, I'll battle you for high priest.
Well, I come with a highly Hellenistic culture. All
right, we can continue.
Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell face down and did obeisance to Daniel. It's something that they would do to honor another culture's god, but he did this to Daniel. And he said that manna and fragrances can be poured out to him. And having answered, the king said to Daniel, "It is certain, your God, he is God of gods and Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries, because you have been able to reveal this mystery." But it's funny that in all of the chronicles, all the Babylonian texts that we have, it's always referring to Babylonian gods. Same thing with Cyrus. Cyrus is supposed to praise God, yet all he wants to talk about is Marduk. And let's see. And the king magnified Daniel and gave him many great gifts and appointed him over the whole region of Babylon and ruler of the satraps and over all the sages of Babylon. And Daniel requested from the king, and he appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the works of the region of Babylon, and Daniel was in the king's court. So for people that he didn't even know or even bother to interview in the first place, bring in for the dream, he's just gonna let them have the highest positions in the kingdom.
Pretty much, yeah. That's where we're going with that.
Yeah. That tracks. And I guess the Babylonians just like forgot about that. So same thing like the Egyptians did with Joseph.
Yeah, yeah. This is sounding very similar to both Joseph and kind of similar to Esther as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. What verse was that?
That was the end, buddy.
That was the end. All right. And you know what? I think we can probably do this. It's an hour and something into the show. No, we're not doing that. Okay, well, we're just gonna skip that. Okay, I don't hear anything actually.
Forget it. I heard something.
Usually I hear something, but I don't now. In fact, it was like a phantom. You know how if you get like a phantom rings sometimes and phantom vibrates.
It's like Ruben had to go to the bathroom, and Ruben had to go.
I get little phantom. What the hell? just in my right ear.
There it is. Yeah, but not apparently it's not happening right now, which is good, I suppose, or bad. I don't even know. I have no clue. But either way, if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you haven't. Hopefully we can have Jim on for more episodes, and hopefully those episodes will not include complete disasters at the beginning of the stream, where Zoom is like, listen, you can continue using me for $150. I'm like, I didn't pay anything, but you know what? You should have told me about this price beforehand.
Just gave us like an ultimatum countdown.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, you want to still use the product? Oh, well, we only got 10 minutes left.
Yeah, well, real bummer on that one. So gonna have to reevaluate how we're doing this.
We'll figure it out.
I suppose we could still do the Zoom thing with Landon, but that's because he is
apparently paying for it.
Yeah. Man, what a bummer. I think I can actually edit that stuff out now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I will actually edit a chunk of that out.
Please.
Yeah.
I'm just saying garbage.
Yeah, it was really bad earlier.
Sorry.
It's not your fault. Not your fault at all. So glad we just got.
I don't even think it's anyone's fault, really. None of us knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, I had no clue. So yeah, I'm gonna fix that.
Thanks
but either way,
sticking around if you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because every like that this video has helps us out, because it puts us in more, because the engagement goes up, the amount that this video shows up in suggested feeds also goes up. So it doesn't recommend Zoom. Thanks, Landon.
We'll have to have Ruben be our expert on Discord, because
I mean, I've used Discord, but I don't use it that often.
Fair enough. I think it's just probably going to be what we'll use, since I know it can do group things free if we still use this process.
Yeah.
I'd love a different process.
We will reconsider how we're doing these things. All right, so we can hop into the into the last chapter of the day. And I already said my stuff that I had to do there. So I suppose I don't really have anything to add on this, but this is where this is where we get the fiery furnace stuff. So that's going to be kind of interesting, right? We saw some hell imagery in our reading of Second Esdras. It was a little bit. It wasn't a lot. I'm not even going to say hell imagery, but it was the closest we got in recent weeks.
They had a whole other name for it, and then apparently it doesn't exist yet, right? They have to make this hell.
It kind of gets closer and closer.
Yeah,
over time.
I personally don't think that it has anything to do with hell.
Well, no, but this is certainly like a lot of the imagery that we get for hell would come from verses like this, and also you take into account the apocalypse of Peter, like stuff like that. The imagery is certainly used. Even stuff in
Jesus uses the term fiery furnace.
Yeah, and it does show up later. So let's get into it. Chapter 3. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and its breadth 6 cubits.
Now,
That's-
the old Greek says it's 60 by 12.
Yeah, I'm also getting notes on that. No, not there. But man, that's a really weird one. That's a strangely shaped statue, I guess.
Well, or maybe the old Greek author just has an affinity for the number 12. Maybe he's trying to say something.
That is true. That is completely possible. All right, let's continue here. He set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent to gather the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then the satraps, the prefects and governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces gathered for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up.
So far away too, in Dura, like so far away.
I mean, I don't know where Dura was.
Let's just say that you probably want to take a donkey.
Oh, okay. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And the herald proclaimed aloud, "You are commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up."
Quick, these words for the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, and symphony or bagpipes. These are all Aramaicized Greek loan words, and it seems strange to me that that somebody from the 6th century would use a Hellenized version of an instrument that already existed in Babylon, that already had a Babylonian name.
Yeah,
so why
that
would
is
the author
interesting.
Use a Greek loan word for instruments that they had perfectly, they had other already used names for their instruments.
Yeah, so some of them are actually discussed here. So the 5th term in the list, pesantrin, was adopted in modern Hebrew as the word for piano. The 6th term, symphonia, originally meant musical harmony in Greek, though it obviously names a musical instrument in this list, and flute is the translation, or in the translation, is one guess among many that have been made. So yeah, and he does talk about the loan words, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue on here. So he's got this amazing setup. Every time you hear these things, you should go worship. Just go do it. At this big statue.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, right. So where were we? That Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be cast into a burning, fiery furnace.
And this is strange because this is not a normal punishment.
That sounds a lot like Gehenna, is what it sounds like.
The only instances that we have where somebody is burned like this as punishment, it's kind of like a lex talionis thing, like they burned somebody else or something like that. But it certainly wasn't a prescribed method of execution or anything by anybody in that area within hundreds of years of that period.
Yeah, so the commentary does mention here that burning as a death penalty burning as a death penalty is prescribed in the Hebrew Bible for prostitution by a priest's daughter, and for the incest of a man who weds both mother and daughter.
You've been saying it's a purification thing. I
No,
agree.
no. When I don't know if this does not sound like a purification thing. But
Yeah,
when talk
it's not. It's very much a praising thing. It's
when I'm talking about, it sounds like Gehenna. I mean, like the whole thing about passing through the fire, like that's where they worship.
Moloch and
What'd you say, Jim?
like Moloch, like the sacrificing
Right,
of
right.
infant children, or just the passing through the fire, the coming of age ritual or something like that.
Yeah, it was
So it's not to do with purifying metals in a furnace.
Yeah, I mean, there's evidence in like the Carthaginians did this, and there's evidence that some Israelites could like possibly did this as well. But in the places where it is possible, you find bones of older children. You have bones of people, children, like stillborn children and things like that. So it's possible that some Israelites sacrificed stillborn children, or just because the birth rate was so low, I guess they had to do something with them.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the commentaries, it's only noting these things as this kind of thing as a punishment. So it's proposed.
And you see the Greeks talk about it. One will say that the mother places it into the hands of this idol, and it burns, and that the drummers and the harpists and everything have to play loud so people don't hear the screams. And you have another Greek historian, neither of which who are eyewitnesses or have any clue what they're talking about, by the way. But another one says that they have to cut the children's throats and sacrifice them, and they can if they don't have kids, then they buy kids from poor people, and they cut their throats, and there's blood flowing everywhere. So even the secondary sources, if you can call them secondary sources, that we have for child sacrifice at these Tophets it's incredibly spurious, and it's incredibly unreliable, and it's incredibly inconsistent.
I would say this as a kind of purification thing just doesn't fit. This definitely sounds more like a punishment, and the only references in all of these commentaries are to that strictly.
This is, some people do posit the idea that possibly it was a coming of age ritual where they would have like a portion of like a field on fire, and they would run through it. Not as, I guess it could possibly be seen as purification, but I would argue that it's more of like a crucible,
a rite of passage,
to remove impurities and make you a man.
Yeah, rite of passage. I mean, that'd be a really, really weird one. But then again,
anything's possible.
Yeah, there is. I forget the name of the tribe, but they do that thing where they put their hands in gloves of bullet ants.
Oh.
Which is
so, there's an Indian tribe that actually runs through fire.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I saw.
I don't know if it's a tribe, but it's an Indian culture. It's very like rural or whatever, and I believe they also they run behind their ox, and they run their oxen through it, and I think it's like at the end of the harvest or something like that.
Yeah, I would not have.
It's been a while since I've read about the whole passing through fire and the Molech argument and all that.
Yeah, I think when we had Josh on, he presented his ideas on that, and I think I forgot how he was related to him, but like someone he knew wrote a book that talked about that as well. So I'm not sure. They have actually that book's on the wish list. Anyways, yeah, let's continue on here. Where was I? but the fiery furnace. Therefore, as soon as all the peoples heard the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, all the peoples, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up.
Sure they did.
Also, that sounds like he was threatening them, and that's why they did that. So I don't know why they'd be like, please don't purify me, Daddy Nebuchadnezzar. Not sure.
or yes, please, can I have another?
Yeah, right. Verse 8. Therefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and maliciously accused the Jews. They declared to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." So
wait. Is Daniel not an issue?
yeah, Daniel's not an issue apparently, or maybe they just don't know.
Noted. Like I kind of thought he was like the Larry of the group, but I guess not.
Yeah, no one's paying attention to Daniel. Daniel's just the guy interpreting the dreams.
And he must have went wherever he was whenever the king forgot that he was like the greatest dream interpreter ever.
Right, right. He only got these other people the job, so.
Right.
Then Nebuchadnezzar, in furious rage, commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said to them, "Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I set up? How could you? Now, if you are ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made."
The old Greek just says musical instruments. The scribe's like, fuck that.
It's just like, how could you not worship that? You go do that. Go worship whenever you hear this stuff. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? This is definitely a threat.
Not the one that interprets dreams.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter." Oh, wonder where this is going.
Somebody's getting ballsy.
Yep. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, but if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. Yeah. So if God doesn't save them, then yeah, they're just dead. That's where they're going. That's what they're going with.
And like they don't even like put anything on it. Like, and if we win, then we get like burgers for a week.
Yeah, no,
like, yeah, let's do it. And if we live, then we live.
Yeah, the stakes are stupid.
Like, no, I'm not betting anything here but my life.
Then Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Okay, so he would be filled with fury, yeah. Then Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury, and the expression of his face was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times more than it was usually heated. Was that his grave mistake? Is that where it all goes wrong? Because it got too hot?
Yeah, you see, there's this point at which water reaches this really hot range, and it just, like when you put a really small drop of water on a hot stove, right? and it just bounces around.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that physical point. But yeah, if it's too hot, they'll just bounce off.
Yeah.
I wonder what that does to mud brick.
What's that?
I wonder what that does to mud brick.
Oh,
Probably nothing good.
I mean, in a kiln,
If it gets too hot.
yeah, you.
I mean, I feel like there's a reason that they kept it at 1/7 of what they're working with now.
Yeah. And he ordered some of the mighty men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, and their garments, and they were thrown into the burning fiery furnace. So on top of being hot, it was just really hot.
Yeah.
Because the king's order was urgent and the furnace overheated. Yeah, there you go. There it is. Whoop, there it is. The flame of the fire killed those men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Oh, damn.
But they aren't killed in the Theodosian version.
Oh, really?
Nope.
That's interesting.
No, they're not. No, they're not. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That is definitely interesting. It does note that. Man, all right. All these different versions. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Three that matter.
Yeah, and these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the burning fiery furnace. Uh-oh. Everything's just going wrong here, guys. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose up in haste. He declared to his counselors, "Did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire?" They answered and said to the king, "True, O king." He answered and said, "But I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the appearance of the fourth..."
Thank you, Jesus. Praise Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, the appearance of the fourth is like a son of the gods. A whole extra person?
Gods, huh?
A whole extra person is here? Man, okay, I think we should get some commentary on this one.
Well, if you look at the thumbnail, he clearly had a mustache.
Yeah, obviously. There it is. It's right there. Do you see it? Do you see it right there?
Fireproof.
Good old mustache. It's brilliant, actually. There he is. We all have mustaches. These are us. Actually, you know what? Because we are actually here and Ruben isn't, does it make sense to have this one on the end?
Ruben's the fourth one.
Ruben's
Yeah.
the fourth one?
Yeah, he just shows up.
All right, great. Thanks, Ruben.
Yeah, and in the old Greek version, it talks about how when Azariah starts to pray, that when he opens up his mouth, his companions join in with him, and so they were praying in unison. Whereas in Theodosian, and I'm pretty sure the Masoretic text, it's just Azariah.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a little bulky commentary, but I'm gonna get into it here. So the binding of the youths in verses 20 and 21 provides the occasion for a minor embellishment of the miracle. The story assumes that the furnace was large enough to permit movement. And then this last one being like a son of man or a divine being. Divine being rendered literally would just be a son of a god. That is in Semitic idiom, a member of the class of gods. Such a polytheistic designation is quite appropriate on the lips of Nebuchadnezzar. So I'm guessing the 3 people. No, I don't even know here.
And there's a problem too, because if you read the text, the men are loaded in from the top.
Uh-oh. That's
disappearing.
Right? I'll sort of
And-
see it.
Oh boy, yeah,
And-
that is getting all sorts of
okay.
fucked.
Oh.
Is it a green sheet?
It
No,
is
it's not
now.
Oh, okay, there it
you
is.
go.
There it is.
Okay, so the men were loaded into the top.
Okay.
So there had to be some sort of platform here.
Yeah.
And then there had to be a viewing window for the king to be able to see the 4th person walking among them.
Yeah.
And there's no design like that. There's no furnace that suits that purpose in the ancient Near East.
Yeah, and then I mean you probably definitely know way more about that than I do. I haven't looked into the types of furnaces.
Jim, that's the furnace you drop people in.
I got into it. Like you have like different furnaces for making like different not porcelains, different
Pottery?
Yeah, the clay and stuff like that. The different shoot, I can't think of it. Ceramics.
Ceramics. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're just so in Jewish and Christian tradition, the sons of God are treated as angels. Thus, Daniel 3:28 attributes the deliverance of the youths to an angel, and the Greek versions describe the descent of an angel into the furnace. Christian tradition,
but it's not a Jew who's seeing this. It's not a Jew who's reporting this, in his own words. So this Babylonian, presumably, possibly Persian or maybe even Median, is seeing something that he describes as a son of the gods, or a son of God.
Yeah, although it would make more sense for Nebuchadnezzar to say it. Considering the polytheistic background there.
Why wouldn't it be just a god?
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. But I mean, because they had maybe something about the assembly of the gods. I don't know, something in there. But yeah, they are putting it on.
Name them because they had the names for the gods that were readily used.
True. I mean, I don't know. Would they know all of them by name, like upon seeing them? I don't know.
In the Nabonidus Chronicles and in the other Babylonian texts, they mention multiple gods multiple times.
No, but I mean, like, would they see a god and be like, "Oh, hey, Marduk, haven't seen you here in a while."
No, not necessarily, but if certain gods had certain roles, so certain gods would be expected to fulfill certain roles. So if X action was filled and it's normally associated with X god, then they would make that association in the text. But it's kind of like how Moses knows that the burning bush is God.
Right. Yeah, so Christian tradition typically identified the Son of God here as Christ. Therefore, Hippolytus wonders how Nebuchadnezzar recognized him and saw here a prefiguration of the recognition of Christ as Son of God by the Gentiles. That's a good question, actually. Jesus? I didn't think about that. That's a really good question. Like if it was Jesus, it'd be like, this guy just knows what he's looking at. All right. Jerome, however, concludes that, quote, "We are to think of angels here because he did not know how an ungodly king could have merited a vision of the Son of God." He considered, nonetheless, the angel to be a typological prefiguration of Christ.
And he thinks it was written in the 6th century, yet he's imposing Zoroastrian, Persian influences into the text.
Yeah. Classic
Christian.
Yes, actually. Jerome, I'd say pretty classic.
That was an awful joke.
Yeah, that is like a double dad joke.
All right, let's continue on here. So he's seeing someone who looks like a son of God. Would make sense that it was an angel, I guess. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the door of the burning fiery furnace. He declared, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here." Then, so they could just leave?
I just want to point out, both the Greek versions insert the prayer of Azariah here.
Okay, this is where the prayer of Azariah is. Okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense, I guess. But hold up. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading here. But if they just walk out, what a shitty furnace.
So and like, what awesome sandals! Like, where do they get them things at?
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's some New Balances.
Yeah, come out and come here. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out from the fire. They could just leave?
Yeah.
But they didn't. They're like, we're gonna wait until we're invited.
They could just leave. What is the use of this furnace if someone could just
the
leave?
people who threw them in died instantly just from being close to the flames.
Yeah. What? But you could just walk out.
Yeah, well, they couldn't otherwise because that wouldn't be a miracle.
Oh, my God.
Only when they can walk out.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, they just leave the fire, and the satraps, the prefects, the governors, and the king's counselors gathered together and saw that the fire had not had any power over the bodies of those men. The hair,
Come check. Is he burnt?
the hair of their heads was not singed, their cloaks were not harmed, and no smell of fire had come upon them. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants, who trusted in him and set aside the king's command." He's talking about himself in the third person.
And so he went and destroyed the idol that he just erected. Oh wait, no, it doesn't say that.
Oh, well then, that's a problem.
It's like, blessed be the Lord, but not that blessed.
We're still gonna, blow those horns and whatnot.
Right. Like, I'm done with all the commandments except for that, those first couple.
So, yeah, who trusted in him and set aside the king's command and yielded up their bodies rather than serve and worship any god except their own. Therefore, I make a decree.
Body for burning.
Oh, is that what the
Right.
Greek is?
Implying it's a willful sacrifice.
Ah, okay. Therefore, I make a decree. Any people, nation, or language that speaks anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be torn limb from limb in their houses.
You pig Latin sign language users out there.
What?
How is
All
one
the pig Latin sign language users out there? That's who he's talking to. He's talking to everybody.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You don't care what you're speaking.
Yeah, I suppose he is talking to them. If you say anything bad about their God, you'll be destroyed. Just like in the last chapter.
But they'll be dismembered. Like, why is it when you talk bad about God that you get dismembered? You don't bow down to the statue when the music plays and you get burned alive.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I couldn't,
at the time.
couldn't tell you. But I mean, the house is laid in ruin and stuff like that. That calls back to the last chapter, I guess, but that's the closest I can think of.
House of the Rising Sun.
What?
There's this stupid video that somebody made. It's the House of the Rising Sun, but it's set to like the narrative of the being burned in the fiery furnace.
Oh, I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's pretty dumb.
Yeah, shall be torn limb from limb, and their houses laid in ruins. For there is no other God who is able to rescue in this way. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Oh, so wait, hold on.
Not in the old Greek.
Really? That's hilarious, actually. So, I'm definitely gonna look up some of this stuff. Hopefully, I can find something on it. It is. Wait, hold on. What the? Okay, so this is actually really weirdly put together. Never mind. I'm gonna have to look at that when I have more time later. But it, yeah, this is just really weirdly put. But I think that it's, yeah, you said that he doesn't even go and destroy his idol, which is,
or make some sort of a grand gesture. It's just all he does is acknowledge. And this is the second, or is it the third time already that he's done that? that he's acknowledged the superiority of the God of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego and Daniel, for if you count the time that he acknowledged that these Jewish exilees were the best that his kingdom could offer, because they had the God who could assist them.
And it's also really weird to me that that Daniel was just kind of left out of this whole thing. Like, I guess he already proved what he had to prove, and
correct. He's not in here at all.
Yeah, didn't have to be included.
His name isn't even mentioned.
Yeah, just completely, just these three other guys.
That lends credence to the idea that most scholars hold to, myself as well, that these early court narratives and these tales that are likely from the late Persian period, not as far back as the 6th century, were circulated individually as either individual tales or as different combinations of collections of tales until the 2nd century redactor.
Yeah, and there were a decent amount of references to a figure Daniel that have popped up in other writings as well. Sometimes
Dead Sea Scrolls.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, even earlier than that, like in
you're talking like Ezekiel or the Ugaritic tale of Ahikar.
Well, there is that one as well. Sometimes it is noted that oh my God, hold on. There's actually commentary. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm looking ahead, and there's actually commentary on the apocryphal stuff here. So in Colin's book, I didn't actually notice that. So, but what I was talking about was like in Maccabees, I think they reference like a hero Daniel or something like that.
Oh,
and
yeah,
while
it was written, when the 130s, 120s, so decades after that, so they were certainly
really close
with Daniel.
Yeah, and it was really close in time. So it's interesting how they it's interesting how quickly that one spread. Although
you got to remember, how quickly did Matthew learn about Mark?
Yeah, I guess very quickly. That's a good point. Yeah.
Or how quickly did what about the P52? The Ryland papyri fragment.
Yeah.
Of the Gospel of John. How close was that to the authoring of John? What's the likelihood? Christians like to say, what's the likelihood that we have the book of Daniel and the Dead Sea Scrolls, just 50 years after the fact? And it's like, well, I mean, they were an apocalyptic sect. I mean, it makes sense that they would value something like that. Like, I don't know what the big deal is.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. Because I mean, I know for a lot of books, it definitely wasn't like that. But yeah, as you noted, because it is an apocalyptic sect, it would make perfect sense that they would concentrate on this stuff a lot more.
You look at the Synoptic Gospels. Within a span of less than 50 years, you have 3 complete Gospels that are aware of each other.
Yeah.
Or
well, I mean,
are aware of one.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely an interesting situation. Although I would say that in some of the texts, like, because earlier texts that would reference Daniel, they don't necessarily say anything that Daniel did, and those could very easily be referring to Daniel. So, I mean, I'm not sure about like the evolution of the Ugaritic myth, but
yeah, no, I don't think it tracks.
Okay.
Neither does Collins.
Oh, did Collins make that argument, or?
No, he brings it up. I mean, there are people who make that argument, but he just doesn't find it tenable. Neither do I.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I mean, I have to read his section on it, but I'm just saying from the commentaries that we have read, that is an argument that has come up.
Right. Well, in Ezekiel, it mentions the same name, but it groups them in with Noah. And
yeah, with
Moses.
other Jewish ones. Yeah.
Right. But he's very different than Noah or Moses.
Yeah, that is accurate.
Yeah, and the Daniel figure, you know, the way that he's described just doesn't describe Daniel. You know, it's not about somebody in exile or anything. Like the closest you can get to, you know, drawing a line between two dots is a really squiggly line. You know, like saying, oh well, they're both wise. It's like
Yeah, that
okay,
happens.
Well, one also has sons and daughters.
Yeah, that kind of bullshit line making happens in religious studies all the time,
Yeah.
which is
And
why
it's fine if you can draw a line between two dots, but you can't ignore the fact that there are 10,000 unconnected dots surrounding it.
yeah, that's like my biggest problem with the field that I'm currently in.
Right. It's like, well, let's get a magnifying glass and let's focus on this little part that, you know, makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Like seriously, I don't know if like I'm ever gonna have a chance to like write a paper on that or something, but if I do, I should, because that is a huge issue. Like you're forgetting
about
everything.
doing a video and calling it spiritual masturbation.
Or just I mean, you could do that.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. They're stroking their spiritual ego.
No, I'm not even like no, I'm not even. I'm talking even from like a scholarly quote unquote perspective. Like
Masturbation is scholarly as shit.
I mean, that's true, but not the spiritual kind.
I'm a doctor.
Awesome. Thank you, doctor.
Dr. Masturbation in the house, everyone. So if I were to write a thing about this, because here's an issue I see in religious studies courses all the time, in books that are more general religious studies, they give you a bunch of parallels, but then don't tell you how they're related. So even if they know how they're related historically, they don't tell readers. And like, then people could easily think, well, this is based on this. Like, I've heard this argument come up a lot, like where...
Well, perhaps they don't tell the readers because the intended audience can readily make that connection, but the readers who think that it's meant for them today, they don't understand it.
That is accurate. But I guess it's more about the dishonesty in scholarship that I feel like it's really like you can be very knowledgeable in a lot of different things, like Alan Siegel, for example, or Joseph Campbell. Like, they're knowledgeable in a lot of different things, but the biggest mistakes they make is not adding that amount of context to it. Like,
right.
And
Well,
then
it's not even that though. It's not that they don't add the context. It's that they don't provide the context already given, but they provide just enough context to support their argument, and they'll also gloss over it with anything additional that they think that they can add without, you know, harming the nucleus of the passage. You know, like with the prophecy in Daniel 9, the 70 weeks and everything like that. It's like, you know, well, we have this unjustified period between the second division and the third division where we're waiting on Jesus to come back, and it's there because we say it can be there. It's like, well, you are adding to the context. No, it doesn't say that you can't do it in the text, but that's not the authorial intent. And I think that's what so many people overlook, is the authorial intent. What message was he trying to convey to his audience? And if it's not a message that he wasn't trying to convey to his audience, then it can't justifiably be defended as an exegesis.
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. I would say that happens like entirely too often.
Time.
Yeah,
way too often, more often than not.
And in religious studies, the more general, broad field, people can, it falls into parallelomania, I should say. That's where like the biggest issue is. Like, then they're not, the thing is, new incoming students aren't warned about these things. They are just kind of like, here's a bunch of interesting information of things that are really similar looking, And then you get like a
Right.
bunch of memes online that are like, this is based on this. And it's like, no, it isn't. Shut the fuck up.
And all that is a bunch of different interpretations. It's like, look, nobody cares about what you can make it look like. You know, what people should care about is, what did the person who originally created this want it to look like? Like, if that's our original goal, is to know what this means, then we shouldn't be assuming that the person who was writing this was writing something that he had intention to.
Yeah.
Although I do feel as though that is, in fact, sometimes how this type of material can be taught.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be taught this way, but it's
They use it for the destruction of the temple in 70, for the other issues that they have with the Romans. Christians still use it today. People in the thousands of years in between have used it to apply to different situations, which is why you have so many different predictions of the end times. That they're most, if not all, are hinged on this apocalyptic idea that originates in texts like Daniel.
I do really like apocalyptic literature. It's a lot of fun to read and analyze.
I do too. I really do. And Daniel is the granddaddy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just like WrestleMania, the granddaddy of them all.
I don't know what that means, but I guess wait, is that Vince McMahon?
Well, he is in a sense the granddaddy of them all, of all the WrestleManias. But no, that's what that's an epithet for WrestleMania, is the granddaddy of them all.
Conor McGregor break his leg.
I didn't see that.
Oh, it was nasty, dude. Whew.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got his ass kicked last night.
Oh shit. Was it by Logan Paul?
No.
Oh, okay.
only a YouTuber, with 2 fights under his belt can go and just fight Mayweather. Like,
Yeah, when you got a whole bunch of money, you can do whatever.
I've got 100 million subscribers. Oh, okay, you can do whatever the fuck you want then. Sorry.
Yeah, but also Mayweather made way more money in that match.
They both did.
I know, but Mayweather made like
money.
he made like 5 times more, maybe even more than that. But like
Just in sponsorship deals, just in just mentioning companies' names. Like, I mean, they had so many. They had their hands in so many pies. It's ridiculous.
yeah, and you know what else is ridiculous? The fact that we're talking about this. So, all right, but I think everyone, thank you for joining us. I know we had a lot of issues early in the show. That was very unexpected. So I thank everyone who stuck around for actually sticking around, because that was a whole lot of time to, have dead air and not have anything substantial happening. So there was a lot of issues at the start of the show. I'll make sure to cut them out when the video is all processed and whatnot. But thank you everyone for joining us. If you guys enjoy the stream, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you have not, because it all really helps us out. Make sure to subscribe to Jim as well. He is commenting in the chat, and you can just go to his channel, Jim Majors. He has a mustache. You can't miss it. It's fucking gigantic, and it's glorious. So you'll know him when you see him. Also,
much appreciated. YouTube.com/Jim Majors.
And he, of course, is he's Dr. Jim Majors now. I got to put some more respect on his name for arbitrary reasons. I gotta do that, but put some more respect on his name.
It feels weird, but it feels good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dr. Jim. Dr. Major.
It's like you don't have to, but you do.
So hopefully we have you on again for episodes in Daniel, and then when we get to Revelation, that'll be fun too. Or anytime throughout the rest of the book, because we still got a little ways to go.
Whenever you guys get over and forget the last time that I took over the show and rambled through the whole thing, and you're like, yeah, he'll be fine this time.
No, this is great, man. I loved it. Wish Ruben was here so we could, it would just be easier for the commentary and the reading. It's just always easier.
He would have argued so well for his point. We would have believed him that this was a sacrifice for purification if he was here.
I'm hooked. You know.
Let's see what do we have? We have a wish list. So we have an Amazon wish list, and if Nightbot is not posting that in the chat, it's been posting, but I don't know about that specific one. Doesn't matter. Link is in the description. We have a lot of books on there. You can get us a book. We'll read it. We'll use it as a source. We can have it on the show. We will get use out of it. The books will be used. They wind up on this table or at my place and used for video. So they do get used. Absolutely. Let's see what else we have. We have a Patreon. If you guys like what we do, want to continue supporting the channel, please make sure to go check out the Patreon. We have a lot of cool stuff on there. You can win t-shirts. Landon won this month's t-shirt, but every month, once a month, start of the month, first Sunday of the month, actually, we give away a free t-shirt to $10 patrons or above. You could be on the show. You can join in our hangouts. And patrons of $1 patrons, that's $1 a month, by the way.
Make you holla.
You get all of our video scripts, all of that stuff. It's just these libraries right there. It's for you.
Growing
So
libraries.
Cheaper date than that.
yeah, right. Let's see. That's the Patreon. That's the wish list. Facebook and Twitter, free to follow us on there. We also have a Teespring. You can just get a shirt if you want. It's back up. I fixed it. Did I?
I don't know what happened,
I
but
saw
it works now.
Okay, well, for some reason, our merch shop wasn't working for a while. I had to reset it or something. I don't know, and it wasn't working, but now it is. So, here's the t-shirt that we're pinning. So I guess I must have fixed it. Good for me.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
If it's not one problem,
Very well done by me. Thank you, me, so much. But yeah, you can get a t-shirt, all that stuff. Facebook and Twitter, free to follow us on those. All links are in the description if you're not seeing them from Nightbot. Jim, once again, thank you for coming on, and hopefully we will be back on Friday for finishing Second Esdras, and then of course we'll be continuing Daniel, but we also have to do the additions to Daniel as well. We will be doing that on a Friday Apocryphal podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it, guys. Love y'all.
Dude, this has been great. Thanks for coming on. And to everyone on the audience, go follow Jim, and we will see you. This is so weird alone.
Friday.
We'll see you on Friday. This is the weirdest thing to do alone now.
Thank you.
Oh my God.